My name is Connor Strapp. I'm an Excel Automation Advisor with Global Software. I'm in a sales role. I'm here to assist any of our new clients that are coming on board with any questions or anything that they have during their evaluations of Spreadsheet Server. So if at any point in time this looks like a solution that you would like to pursue, I'd be happy to help answer your questions and, again, be a resource for you all, and I'll make sure that my contact info is made available at the end of this presentation. And before I go any further into the presentation of Spreadsheet Server today, I would like to say that there is a chat box if you would like to add any questions during the demo of Spreadsheet Server or the webinar today. We'll address your questions throughout the presentation. We'll also leave some time at the end for a quick Q&A as well. I'm joined today by Caitlin Gill, who is our director on our Solutions Enablement team. Caitlin has over 10 years of experience in the software industry, and over 7 of that is actually working with Global Software and Spreadsheet Server. So she's a wealth of knowledge of Spreadsheet Server in our automated reporting Excel add-in solution. She's helped to train our customers and implement Spreadsheet Server, and now spends a lot of time educating potential customers on our solution. So Caitlin will be doing most of the heavy lifting from a demo standpoint today. A quick agenda, I'll introduce you to our company, Global Software. I'll give you a quick highlight of Spreadsheet Server and the solutions that we're talking about today. And then we'll pass it over to Caitlin to go into a demo of Spreadsheet Server and again, end the presentation with a Q&A and answer any additional questions that you may have. All right. So Global Software is a very well-established company. It was founded in 1973, over 40 years ago, and it's headquartered in Raleigh, North Carolina. Spreadsheet Server has been around for over 20 years, so also a very well-established product. We also have offices in Seattle, New York, London, Australia, and remote employees all over the country. So why this is important for our clients is that we provide 24/7, 365 support from directly here at Global Software. We do not outsource any of that support, and that is something that we are very proud of. We are the #1 provider of Microsoft Excel-based automation solutions for the worldwide marketplace. We are Microsoft partners, and we have customers all over the globe in over 120 countries, which includes over 5,000 customers, and actually includes over 75,000 daily users of Spreadsheet Server. So the tool that we're going to be talking about today is Spreadsheet Server. And what is Spreadsheet Server? It's an Excel add-in that aims to automate reporting processes from directly within Excel. So we noticed a pain where a lot of folks tend to spend a lot of manual time getting their data into Excel because this is the most preferred platform to manipulate data and ultimately report on it. So what we do is our Excel add-in creates a live connection to your ERP or any relational database. So if you have any patient health records or a different HR system, as long as that system sits on a relational database, we can connect to it and pull in real live data into Excel. And not only are we going to pull the data into Excel and give you the live data, we'll actually give you the ability to further analyze that data from directly within Excel as well and drill down back to the transactional level detail. So our motto is to start in Excel and stay in Excel where we find our clients are most comfortable. Another piece of the product that comes at no additional cost, and there's no additional install for this piece, is Distribution Manager. And this piece of the product aims to automate report distribution from directly within Excel as well. So with Distribution Manager, you'll build out a distribution list one time, says who needs what reports, when they need them, how they want to receive them. And moving forward, that process will be automated as well, and you can schedule these reports to be set out on a time-scheduled basis. We mentioned over 75,000 daily users of Spreadsheet Server, and a few of these are on your screen right now. One thing I would like to highlight is we recently surveyed all of our customers to see what kind of time savings they're actually seeing utilizing our Excel add-in Spreadsheet Server. And the most common answer was over 300 hours per year. And the reason I like to share that statistic is because if you take into account a 40-hour work week, that is 7.5 weeks of time savings, which is tremendous. And I can think of many things to do in 7.5 weeks. So I think that's a very powerful statistic. Another thing I would like to mention with our existing customers, if at any point you want to talk with some of these folks to get their take on Spreadsheet Server and maybe how they're utilizing the tool and saving time, that'd be something we would be happy to facilitate. And at this point, I'd like to hand it over to Caitlin so we can walk through a presentation of Spreadsheet Server. Again, I want to reiterate, if you have any questions, please feel free to jump into the chat box and send those questions our way. We'll be happy to answer them. And then we'll also regroup towards the end of the presentation to answer questions as well.
All right, guys, so just starting from the beginning and talking a little bit about what Spreadsheet Server is, what it does, how it's installed. Our product is an Excel add-in. So it is installed where Excel is installed. So when you looked at this screen and you got that comfortable, cozy feeling of, hey, I know what this is, this feels like home to me, that's because it's Excel. So what we're looking at here is just an Excel spreadsheet, and our product is installed where Excel is installed. Right on the desktop, very easy, does not require a server, a data warehouse, any of those things. It's installed in Excel, and it's connecting directly to your database. So what does that mean from an end user perspective? Well, it means that you have real-time data in your spreadsheet. So the data isn't being refreshed periodically. When you open it up, your spreadsheet is refreshed automatically. And when I change something in the report, like the period, for example, you'll notice as I make the change in the month, all of the numbers shift, not only the numbers, but all of the charts and graphs, all of the visualization pieces that we built in using Excel. So I build this report one time in Excel, and every time I need to see the updated numbers, all I have to do is open the spreadsheet, and it's updating with real-time data. So that's pretty amazing right there, especially in the healthcare industry where things are changing from minute to minute. It's amazing to have that data in real time in Excel. But what's even more important than just looking at real-time data in a spreadsheet is being able to look at the details behind the numbers. So as I'm analyzing my revenue, my deductions, my employee expenses, and I'm looking at inpatient revenue for April, I need to know where that number came from. So I might have looked at my database and said, that doesn't look like what I remember seeing there. But because of the real-time connection, I can just click on this little magnifying glass. It's going to drill right into that number, and it's going to show me the detailed amounts to make up that number in the report. So I can immediately answer my question. I can sort these amounts in ascending or descending order. I can group them by, let's say, the company. So if I'm working with multiple companies or multiple departments, I can just group by any of these column headers, and it'll group in subtotal by company for me. And then if I say, oh, company 40, I think that's where I had my question, I can drill down here and say, oh, look at this. Here it is, the stipend for teaching benefits. That's what I was looking for. I can double click on that. It's going to take me right to the journal entry detail if there is any there. So you don't have to stay here in the detailed account balances. You can drill past that to take a look at underlying detail and actually analyze those journal entries. So without leaving Excel, I can drill down, see the journal entry, see when the posting date was, what the status is, any references associated, and I can answer my question about that number. So having real-time access is key, not only for me to answer my questions, but somebody else may have asked me a question about this report, and I need to be able to get this information to them as well. So not only can I look at this information drilling down to the journal entries, what I can also do is say, okay, I actually want to push that information out to Excel. So I want to drill down into another tab of my workbook. So what this is going to do is it's going to push that drill down detail right into my Excel spreadsheet. It took just a minute for that to export, but you can see we pushed out quite a lot of detail, so it was worth waiting for the minute. But what I wanted to show you guys before we even build a report is just how complex Spreadsheet Server can be in terms of what you can provide in reporting. So we're not limited to financials. We know in the healthcare industry you're looking at a lot of different information. So you also have the ability to look at data outside of general ledger. So if you wanted to look at revenue by patient, different project projects that are going on. Let's say you work in a hospital setting, different projects in the hospital. If you want to look at salaries, if you want to look at an AR aging report, you might want to look at reports where you're analyzing AP by vendor, or maybe looking at employee information within the hospital on more of a detailed scale, analyzing salaries, looking at employee satisfaction or patient care. So all of these options are available with Spreadsheet Server. And all of these reports that I'm clicking through here are pulling real-time data from your database. So you're not limited to just what you would imagine in a typical Excel report, but you can certainly go way beyond that to build more dashboard quality reports. And what we're going to walk through next is how we would do that. So I'm going to start with a blank spreadsheet. This is typically how we get started when we're building reports with Spreadsheet Server. When we're building, I should correct myself and say when we're building an ad hoc report with Spreadsheet Server. Now, just to explain that piece, most of our clients, when we come on site to train them, do use Excel. So what that means, as you guys could imagine, is that you probably already have some reports that are built in Excel. So we certainly don't want to reinvent the wheel, and we don't have to. Spreadsheet Server is driven by formulas, and we can place our formulas not only in blank spreadsheets, but in your existing spreadsheets as well. So if you do have reports that you've built in Excel today that you like, that you use, maybe that you don't like because they're pulling static data but you want to like, we can, when we come on site to train you, automate those reports. So I like to show in a demonstration building a report from scratch because I think it's helpful to see from a blank spreadsheet how easy it is to get started. But just remember, any report that you have in Excel today, we can just as easily automate using this exact same exercise. So I'm going to start off by opening up our Build a Template Wizard. This is what we use to get started. So when I click on that magic wand, it may seem like magic, but I promise we are using just a Spreadsheet Server formula here, and we're going to pull some data into Excel. So I'm going to start with our General Ledger formula. This is a formula that comes pre-configured with Spreadsheet Server for all of our ERPs. In this General Ledger formula, when I select it, it's going to give me some options in the center of the screen. So these options are parameters. So the nice thing about using this GL formula is that you don't need to be familiar with files or fields or tables in your database. I don't need to know what table my journal entries reside in. I don't need to know where I need to pull in my GL amounts. Table-wise, what I'm doing here is just selecting things like what balance type I'd like to look at. So whether I want to look at actual or budget, I'll just select A or B. The next thing I'll select is my year. So I'm going to take it back to 2005. That was a good year. So we'll start there, pulling in some historical data. Format is a predefined roll-up. So again, a lot of times it's very difficult in your database today to build a report where you're looking at data by period, by quarter, year to date, all in line. We make it really easy for you to do that here. So I'm just going to start off by using the period format, but then I can build out my report to look at year to date, quarter to date information as well, and we're going to start with period 5. Okay, moving on to my account segments, I can place these on the row or the column. So I'm going to place my company and accounting unit on the column, everything else on the row. And thank goodness I do not have to memorize all of these account segments because what a headache that would be. I've got these nice little lookup windows that will pull in all of my company numbers, all of my accounting units, all of my accounts, so I can just pick and select if I'm not familiar. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my company and accounting unit as an asterisk, and what that indicates is a wildcard. So I'm pulling in all companies, all accounting units, and then I'm going to start off by pulling in my outpatient revenue, which is just a single account, so we're going to start with $30,200. And that's all I have to do to get started. Just identify that information, insert this formula into the spreadsheet, and just like that, there's the magic. It's pulling that number into Excel. So I've got this beautiful balance. We'll just scroll in a little bit so you guys can see that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build out this report from here. So I'm going to take and copy row 14 down a couple rows. So I'm copying that formula onto each row, and now I'm going to start making some adjustments. So in my second row, what I'd like to do is instead of looking at a single account, look at a range. So I'm going to type in $30,000 to $30,199. And you'll notice when I change that, we'll open this up a little bit more, it's going to update that number. And then I can just keep on going down the line here. So we'll say that this first line item was my inpatient revenue. Second line item is my outpatient revenue. And you don't have to type in all these descriptions here. I can also show you how you can pull those in, so that's an option. And then we'll say we have some other revenue that we want to pull in, so we're just going to use one more range. We'll watch that update. It's so nice. I love watching that update. It just happens so quickly. Okay, and then from here, what I'm going to do is just use some Excel functionality. So now we're back in that comfy, cozy, familiar place of Excel. So I'm just going to use my auto sum feature to summarize my column. We'll do a little formatting. And then we'll say I want to pull in some expenses alongside my revenue. So we'll say our employee expenses is the first thing I want to pull in. That's made up of all accounts that begin with 401. So we're going to use a wild card there to pull in everything that begins with 401. I want to pull in my pension. So we'll say that's 432. And you don't have to memorize these either. In your spreadsheet server add-in, once you're in Excel, you can go to your look up or locate a segment, and that's going to pull in all of your accounts. So you can just search for the account that you're looking for by the description. And we'll pull in one more expense line item. So let's say we want to pull in salaries. That's everything that begins with 403. Go ahead and pull that in here. And then I'm just going to summarize my expenses. So I've got some revenue. I've got some expenses. Well on my way to getting started here. And then what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to copy column E across a couple columns. And now I can change my period on my period number. So we'll say if I wanted to look at periods 4, 5, and 6, I'll change the period. If I wanted to see a roll-up for the second quarter, this is where it gets really cool, so just pay attention here. I'm just going to change this to quarter. That's all I had to do. Change it to quarter, and it's going to update and pull in quarter 2. And then let's say in column I want to look at year-to-date information, but I want to see it for the prior year. I'm just going to change this to period 12, 2004, and it's going to pull in that prior year information for me just like that. Ooh, 2004 was a bad year. Maybe we'll look at 2005 and just, you know, we'll keep it up to date for this year. So we'll just look at year to date through period 6. So that all looks good. Again, you can continue to add in Excel formulas here. So if I wanted to insert another column and maybe set up a variance to compare periods 5 and 6, I can do that. So we'll just copy that down. We'll copy it all the way down. We'll delete those 0 rows because there's nothing there. And we'll just give our report a couple column headers. So we'll say variance, quarter to date, year to date, looks good. We'll spruce it up, add a little color. So you can use your favorite team colors here. I won't give away who my favorite team is. Anybody that guesses it will give you an extra prize. And then I can add in charts or graphs as I wish. So I'll go ahead and insert a chart here. And again, this is all just Excel functionality. So we'll go ahead and throw that chart in. Not the prettiest report you've ever seen, I'm well aware of that. But getting from here to something that looks a little nicer like this is just using Excel to do your formatting. So we've just added in some formatting to pop out our total revenue and deductions and employee expenses. So they're kind of popping out on the screen with those colors. But getting there is very easy, and this is starting from scratch. So you could only imagine if you had an existing spreadsheet that you've already built, and all we have to do is place our formulas into that spreadsheet, how easily that could be done. So again, I'd like to pause at this point and see, Connor, if any other questions have come in so far.
Yeah, Caitlin, we do have some questions. So you've shown a lot of great looking reports and how easy it is to build the reports. A question that came in is, do we have to build all our reports from scratch, or will you provide reports that, like you're showing in the presentation?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. So yes, you have a lot of options as far as how you can get started. And just to go through what those are, we have been at this real-time reporting business for close to 20 years. So you could only imagine the catalog of reports we've collected in that point in time, or in that much time. So we certainly have tons of templates that we can provide you to get started. So we're happy to provide our clients things like a standard P&L balance sheet, a couple standard dashboard templates that we can fill in with queries connected to your database. That's always an option. What a lot of our clients prefer to do, just to be honest, is to use their existing Excel reports. So if you do have reports in Excel that you like and you use today, we can populate those reports with our formulas. And this is all something that we do as part of our training in our report building workshop. So we come on site to train you. We're at your location. And the first half of the training is more of a classroom type training. The second half of that training is I would say hands in the mud, but we'll just say hands in the Excel spreadsheet, hands on the keyboard, working with your data. As much hands in the mud as you can get in an accounting sense. So we're truly working with your data and helping you automate your existing reports or build new ones. So hopefully that answered your question, but yes, we have templates. We can use your existing reports, or we can start from scratch.
Thanks, Caitlin. And one more question. What is the typical timeline for implementation with Spreadsheet Server?
Sure, great question. And again, always one that I like to answer because I've had some experience with other reporting tools, and the timeline for Spreadsheet Server is so minimal in comparison. So it actually only takes about an hour to install our product. We do that via WebEx. From the time that we install the product to the time that we train, might be, well, it really depends on our training schedule, but typically it's a couple weeks after that. And then when we're on site, for what we call our gold users, which kind of, we'll walk through the different license types, we do a 2-day training. So the first half of that training is a classroom type training where we're walking through best practices with Spreadsheet Server. And then the second day is a report building workshop where we're building reports. So typically in 2 days, all of our report builders, or what we call our gold users, are very comfortable and confident in using this tool after we leave. That being said, we do provide 24/7, 365-day support. So we're always here for you and supporting you with additional questions you may have. We use phone with the aid of WebEx, have a 2-hour callback policy, so we're always here to support you after the initial training. If you do want to do a lot of reporting outside of the general ledger and reporting on other areas, we do have another license type called a platinum license, and that license comes with a query designer where you can actually select the tables and the fields you want to report on. That training is an additional 3 days, but that's typically not going to be the majority of your users. You might just have 1 or 2 people that are building queries and then sharing those with the rest of our report builders to use in Excel.
Perfect. Thanks, Caitlin. That's all we have right now.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so we saw building a report. We took a look at some features and functionality. When we look at some of these other types of reports, non-financial reports like our dashboards, our AP reports, our employee information reports, our salary and reports, these are all reports that are built because these users had what we call a platinum license of our product. So if you have at least 1 platinum license of Spreadsheet Server, that user will have the ability to build queries outside of the general ledger. So our product is pre-configured for GL. Outside of that, you have the ability to report on any table, but you do just need 1 of those platinum licenses. So just know when you're looking at this product, it is not a one-trick pony. It's not limited to one specific area. You can use it to report on any table in your database. You can use it to report on multiple databases as well. So as long as you have at least 1 of those platinum licenses, it's going to allow you to build queries against really anything. And once the queries are built, the gold users can build reports with those queries in Excel. Okay, so the distribution manager is the last piece we're going to talk about in our webinar today, and this is going to be the messenger of Spreadsheet Server. So once you build all of these amazing reports, you need to get these out to other people in your organization, and you do that with the distribution manager. So you might have some people that need the financial statements, maybe for specific departments. You might have other people that want to look at this dashboard. You might have other people that need to look at this AP report or maybe look at my HR report on a daily basis. And all of these people might need these reports in different times and frequencies. So that's where our distribution manager comes in. So once you build all of your reports, you would create a new control sheet with Distribution Manager, and that's going to add a new tab to your workbook and give you this promptable window where you can define first how you'd like to send the reports out. So you have a couple different distribution options here, which are sending the reports via email, saving them to a shared file location, or sending them to a printer. And you can certainly do a combination of these options. So we're going to start with email, and I'm just going to go over to my Outlook address book, which is what I'm using. We certainly work with other email systems as well, so you don't have to use Outlook, although in my opinion it is a really, really great tool to use for email. I really like Outlook a lot myself. So what I'm going to do is from my Outlook address book, select Global Education. That's the first group I want to send some reports to. So it's just going to pop that group into my To window, and then I'm going to give the email a subject. And type something into the body of the email. And then on the miscellaneous tab, I have some password protection options. So if I want to make sure this group is the only group that opens up this workbook, I'll just give it a password to be opened. I can even set up a password to make sure it's not modified. So if I'm sending the report out in Excel format and I want to lock it down so they can look at it but they can't change it, I can set a modification password. And I can add attachments. So always an option to add a supporting document to this report, or any attachment that you want, really. You can send pictures, you can send, I'll just leave that up to you. You guys can let your minds be creative from there. Back in the General tab, you can send the reports in really any file type. So you can send it as an Excel file, CSV, HTML, PDF, or Word. Of course, if you do convert the report to anything other than Excel, it would be a static report, so no longer have any drill-down capability. And if you send it in Excel format, you can also send a static copy. So if my global education group is they're not spreadsheet server users, what I can do is send it in Excel format, but choose convert formulas to values. So this is the same thing as Excel's copy paste special. It's just going to replace the formulas with values in the report and allow me to send out a static copy. And then from here, this is the really exciting part. So if your eyes are glazed over and you're sick of looking at this Excel spreadsheet, this is the one part where I'm going to have to say, wake up and pay attention, because this modify cells option is really cool. What this is going to allow me to do is change the report based on who I'm sending it to. So if I'm sending this to my global education group and I need to send them the P&L, but right now my P&L is looking at all accounting units, and they're in accounting unit 200. Well, all I have to do through the Distribution Manager is say, I want to change this report. So I'm going to select the P&L as the report I'd like to change. I'm going to select cell N10 as the cell I'd like to change, and I'm going to change this value to 200. So what this is going to do at the time of distribution is push this value into cell N10, converting the report to look at accounting unit 200 only. So I'm going to send my global education group a report for their accounting unit without having to break this workbook apart in 50 pieces, or maybe have 10 different tabs looking at different accounting units. At the time of distribution, this value will be pushed into cell N10. So now all I have to do is say, okay, for this group, what worksheets do they want to see? So I also don't need to send out all of these worksheets. If they only need the P&L, I can add that one worksheet, and then I'm going to push this line out to Excel and continue to build my distribution list. So I might have 5 other groups that need this report. So I'm going to come back in and say I also want to send this to Emily. She needs the same report, different accounting unit. So I'm just going to change this to accounting unit 300 for Emily. Push that second line out to Excel. This is so easy. I love this piece so much. So I'm going to go back to my email tab, and I'm going to go to my To button again, and we're going to select Lloyd. And we'll say, Lloyd, he's a busy guy. He needs a couple other reports to review, so I need to send him the P&L for his business unit, which is 600. And then I'm also going to send him the AP report. I'm going to send him the employee information report. Poor Lloyd, he's just got so many responsibilities. I'm going to send him the hospital dashboard. I'm just going to stack him up with reports here. Also the inventory report. He's got to look at them all. Poor guy. Okay, so then I'm going to push this out to Excel, and I'm just going to keep on building. So now I'm going to say, okay, I also want to save this to a shared file location, because I have an executive group that needs to look at this every day, and I want to push it right out to a file folder where they can just open it up. So I'm going to say, let's see, let's find their folder. We'll say this is Rebecca's group. I'm going to clear these out. I just want to send the dashboard out. So we're going to send the dashboard out to Rebecca's file folder and push that out to Excel. I'm going to recalculate it, and so that way it's sending out at the most updated copy at the frequency that I set up. And obviously I could keep going from here. We have clients, several hospitals that we work with that send out, 200 reports every week to different departments within their organization. So you build this list one time and it's saved here in your workbook. So you never have to do this again, thank goodness. So you build it once, even though it wasn't that painful, it was kind of fun. You build it once and it's saved here. Now when I want to send these reports out, I have a couple different options. So if I want to just choose when I send the report out, I'm not really sure when I want to send it out every day. I just want to make sure that I'm checking a couple things before I send. I can just hit distribute anytime I want. So I can distribute either a single line, selected lines, or distribute all of the lines on the report, and it's going to send a report out to everyone on this list. So that's one option. We're never going to take that away from you. You can distribute reports at your leisure. But if you do end up with a distribution list that, like some of our clients have, that are 100 or 200 lines long, and let's say you need to send these reports out every week, you might want to set it up on a schedule. It could really kind of benefit you if you just schedule it and you don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my profile scheduler, and in the distribution manager, I'm going to say, okay, I want to schedule these reports to go out. So we'll say I want to schedule them to go out on the 20th. So we're going to say the third Wednesday of the month. I want them to go out at 6 a.m. so everyone knows I'm in the office super early working on my reports, and really I'm catching a little extra sleep, and I want to send it on the third Wednesday of the month. So we're just going to say third Wednesday. There we go. You can even select specific days if you want to do that. And that's all I have to do. So I set this up to go out on an automated schedule, and guess what happens on the third Wednesday of the month? At 6 a.m., when I'm doing whatever I do at 6 a.m., this report is going to open up and be sent out for me. So by the time all of those people get to their desk, they're going to have a report from me that was sent out at 6 a.m. with the information they need to see. So huge time saver. I mean, seriously, huge time saver with a lot of our clients, being able to get these reports out automatically. And from one single worksheet, being able to say, okay, for this person, they need the financial report. For this person, they need the dashboard. For this person, they need the AP report. But I don't have to break this workbook up in a million different pieces. I can just set up a distribution list that's going to do that for me. So it's a huge time saver, great part of Spreadsheet Server, and really integrates the whole package. Okay, so a lot of talking on my end again, per the usual. So Connor, I'd like to stop here and see if there are any other questions that have come in.
Yeah, thanks, Caitlin. One question that came in is you mentioned platinum level licenses, gold level licenses. What other kind of license types are there for Spreadsheet Server, and just how is the product licensed overall?
Sure, I'm happy to address that, Connor, or did you want to address that one? I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and mention that Spreadsheet Server's license, that it's a perpetual license, so once you purchase the product, you own it for life. There's 3 different license types, the platinum level license, the gold level license, and the limited level license. So everything that Caitlin showed during the webinar it falls under the gold level license of Spreadsheet Server, and these are your everyday users, your report builders, people that are heavily in use of Spreadsheet Server. And like I mentioned, it was everything Caitlin did today, so the entire Spreadsheet Server ribbon, inserting the formula, using the build a template, the distribution manager, everything that Caitlin showed today. The platinum level user that Caitlin mentioned is a step up from gold, and the only thing that it has in addition is access to the query designer. And then the third level license type is a limited level user, which it gives you access to live data and drill down and be able to change parameters within the report, but not to build them yourself. So this is a great license type for somebody who isn't going to be in Spreadsheet Server every day, but still wants to be able to receive a report and play around with it and update the numbers and further analyze them, but again, does not need to be in it every day and does not need to build reports themselves. And that being said, there is a fourth user type that doesn't have to have a spreadsheet server license at all. And if they receive a report through the distribution manager that Caitlin showed, they can receive static reports on a time-scheduled basis. It could be hourly with updated numbers, and they don't need a licensed spreadsheet server to view those. They just won't be able to change parameters or have live data. So that's the different license types. So moving on to an additional question we had, Caitlin, what are the most common connection types for the healthcare industry? I guess the question's pointed towards like what are the more specific ERPs that we work with?
You know, that's a good question. So in my experience with healthcare, a lot of our healthcare clients are on Lawson, also on Oracle. And I think that we had a slide up that had some, let's see, customers in it that I can, yep, here we go, pull up some of our healthcare customers that are running different systems. But to be honest, I mean, we cross so many different areas. We work with over 80 different ERP systems, and it never ceases to surprise me when we run across a hospital that's using something that I wouldn't consider to be a healthcare ERP. So some of the major ERPs that we work with are SAP, Oracle, Lawson, PeopleSoft, all of the Microsoft systems, obviously, and yeah, like I said, we haven't run across an ERP that we don't like yet. So when we run across one that we haven't worked with, we can very easily set up a spreadsheet server profile as long as it's running on a relational database to do so. So hopefully that gave you a kind of a broad answer. We can give you a more pointed answer in a follow-up for sure.
That was perfect, Caitlin. I appreciate it. That's all the questions right now. So if there's anyone with any last-minute questions, please throw them in the chat box while we're wrapping up. But this is concluding our webinar on Spreadsheet Server and helping you to gain more time for patient care and save time in your reporting processes with Spreadsheet Server. I mentioned in the beginning that I would give you my contact information at the end. It's on your screen now. Please, if you garnered some interest from this webinar, please shoot me an email or give me a call if there's any follow-up questions after the fact. And we'll also be sure to follow up with each of you individually. And again, thank you for joining today, and have a great afternoon.